Hi everyone. So do you want to see a Strand build with even more ways to suspend targets than the Strand Titan build? Well, with this new Strand Hunter build that came out with the release of all Strand fragments, you can now suspend targets with ease in endgame content. This build uses the exotic 6 Coyote and does not require any artifact mods, which means it will be viable even after the season ends. Your abilities will almost always be off cooldown, and you'll be able to use your alternate dodge ability almost always. So without wasting any more time, let's see what makes this build so powerful. So starting off with the build, you're not going to need to use any artifact mods, just spend them however you want. I am using a Void SMG, so I do have Volatile Flow on, and obviously combining that with Bricks from Beyond has given me plenty of heavy ammo. But really, going to the Strand Super, what you're going to want to use is the Shackle Grenade, the Widow's Silk aspect. You have an additional grenade charge. Having this aspect allows you to throw multiple grenades, suspending even more targets. Ensnaring Slam, activate your air move to consume your class ability energy and dive to the ground, suspending all nearby targets on impact. Using this ability will allow you to suspend most of your targets, especially because you'll get it back much quicker than you do your grenade. So for the fragments, I use the Thread of Mind. Defeating suspended targets grants class ability energy. This allows you to get your class ability back, which works into your Ensnaring Slam, allowing you to suspend targets almost infinitely. The next fragment is Thread of Warding. Picking up Overpower grants Woven Mail. This allows you to also gain damage resistance, so you can jump in there and use your dodge ability near enemies, allowing you to survive even longer in endgame content. I also use the Strand Fragment Thread of Continuity. Suspend, Unravel, or Sever effects applied to targets have increased duration. This works great against barrier champions so that they can't use their ability if you don't have a gun with anti-barrier. And finally, the last Strand Fragment I use is Thread of Regeneration. Dealing damage generates grenade energy. This just allows you to get back your grenade because you don't get it back nearly as often as you do your class ability. So moving on to the armor, on my helmet I have a Void Siphon mod because I'm using a Void weapon. You can put on whatever Siphon mod you want with whatever primary weapon you use. And lastly, this is just personal preference, I have Special Ammo Scout and Special Ammo Finder for the endgame activities where you want to generate special ammo for your teammates. You can use Heavy Ammo Finder or Heavy Ammo Scout if you want to, it's really just up to personal preference. On my chest piece I have 2 Impact Induction mods. Causing damage with your melee attack reduces your grenade energy. Now I only use this mod because it's best in slot and it doesn't really impact your build at all. I use Focusing Strike, grants class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack. Once again, these mods just help the build and they're not necessarily the greatest, but they all do. Going on to the exotic chest piece that I use in the build, the 6 Coyote. Gain a second dodge charge. This allows me to use my Strand dive to suspend targets, and having that extra dodge allows me to use multiple while they're both on cooldown. On this, I just have a Void Resistant mod. You can use whatever resistance mod you want, and I have Arc Reserves, which works along with my heavy weapon. For my legs, I have 2 Arc Weapon Surge mods, and I just do this so that I have extra damage on my heavy weapon. And lastly, I have Innervation, reduces grenade cooldown each time you pick up a Orb of Power. This will work with your Siphon mod on your helmet and just allows you to get your grenade back. That way you can almost always have it. On my cloak, I have a Time Dilation mod. Your Decaying Armor charge is longer duration. This mainly just works with my Arc Weapon Surge mods on my legs. I have a Distribution mod. It reduces all ability cooldowns when you use your class ability near targets. Now this will only work when you're using your normal dodge and not your alternate dodge that you do with your Strand ability. Now this distribution mod only really works when you're using your normal class ability, not when you're using your class ability along with the Strand effect. I don't know why it does this, but it just doesn't work that way, so this distribution mod can really be replaced whatever you want. Lastly, I have Bomber Rod, reduces grenade cooldown when using your class ability. Once again, this isn't really best in slot just because you're going to be using the alternate form of your class ability rather than the normal class ability. So that's the build. I think it works really well in endgame content and allows you to suspend all enemies. This can be used against unstoppable enemies and barrier enemies, so it works great against 2 out of 3 champions. So let me know down in the comments below, are you going to use this build? And also, what other builds would you like to see in future videos? Thanks and have a good day.